When Kobe slapped the floor, told that let's go one-on-one, and he passed it, he f***ed up the whole tradition.
Damn.
Don't nobody want to hear that. Yeah, I'm one of them gatekeepers. I can say that.
Man, listen, let me say something to you. The C's, we didn't give a f*** about LeBron. We didn't fear LeBron.
Damn.
That's when mama was like, nah, see, you don't want this new. Like, talking crazy. I hate to get to these. That's what really happened. Yeah. And ever since then, we've been off the trajectory.
Shot making, we talking about ability, we talking about skill. He in all those conversations, but now you doing some shit where
LeBron James fans are probably not going to be happy with what Kevin Garnett just pulled off, because this wasn't one of those soft media opinions where an NBA legend throws out some light criticism and then backs away from it 5 minutes later.
Do you think you pushed LeBron too far in Game 5?
Pushed
Because Game
too
6, he's
far?
unbelievable. You think you gave him the eye of the tiger?
Pushed him too far?
KG basically looked right at the entire GOAT debate surrounding LeBron and said, enough already. And the wild part is, he didn't just question LeBron's greatness. He challenged the way some fans defend him, explain away every criticism, and rushed to place him above every legend who came before him.
Nothing?
Man, listen, let me say something to you. The C's, we didn't give a f*** about LeBron. We didn't fear LeBron, and we didn't think that he can beat all 5 of us.
That's why this whole situation blew up online, because when somebody as respected and intense as Kevin Garnett starts pushing back against the LeBron praise machine, people listen, especially when he's saying things many former players don't even want to say out loud. This wasn't some random comment tossed into the air. It felt deliberate, direct, and it hit exactly the way KG wanted it to hit.
I will never give GOAT status to anybody but MJ. Not Bill Russell, not Kareem, not anybody.
Okay.
But LeBron deserves all the props in the world for what we're seeing him do on the basketball court. This is what greatness is made of.
What really sent this story into overdrive was the timing. LeBron is still putting up impressive numbers this late in his career, and the media constantly talks about his longevity. Every other week, there's another debate about whether he passed Michael Jordan years ago. Then Garnett stepped in and completely changed the vibe. Suddenly, the discussion wasn't about LeBron chasing another championship or setting another record. It became about whether fans are forcing the GOAT title onto someone without looking at the full picture. And trust me, once you hear the full context behind KG's comments, it's easy to see why this became one of the hottest basketball debates on the internet. People didn't just react. The internet went crazy. Do you think you pushed LeBron too far in Game 5? Pushed too far? Because Game 6, he's unbelievable. You gave him the eye of the tiger. What are you talking about? Pushed him too far? And here's the part many people aren't even talking about. Kevin Garnett isn't some random analyst trying to grab attention. This is one of the toughest competitors the NBA has ever seen. He's a former MVP, an NBA champion, one of the greatest defenders in basketball history, and a guy who battled Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal, Dirk Nowitzki, and LeBron himself during one of the most physical eras the league has ever seen. So when Garnett talks about greatness, fans know those opinions come from real experience, not internet storylines. He's not speaking as some television personality. He's speaking as someone who lived through different generations of basketball and competed against some of the best players ever. That's exactly why his words carry so much weight in these debates. One of the biggest moments that had people talking came when Garnett openly questioned whether LeBron should have been an all-star during a certain stretch of the season. And LeBron supporters instantly went into defense mode, because for many fans, LeBron making the all-star team almost feels automatic at this stage of his career. Some believe his legacy alone deserves that level of respect every season. But Garnett saw things differently. He hinted that the NBA sometimes rewards reputation just as much as current impact. And when you think about it, that's a heavy statement to make about someone who is constantly being called the greatest player ever. That's what made the comment sting for so many people, because some fans felt there was a deeper point buried inside it. KG wasn't saying LeBron suddenly fell off. That would make no sense. The man was still producing numbers that most players would dream about putting up over an entire career. But Garnett seemed to be questioning the standards being used. He was asking why certain stars receive extra protection from criticism, while other legends never got that same treatment during their own primes. Back in Garnett's era, if your team struggled or your energy dipped even a little bit, the media came after you right away. There weren't many excuses handed out. There was no constant, he's still great for his age discussion floating around. You either dominated or you got criticized. Simple as that. Nobody got special treatment. And that's where things started getting messy, because once people open the door to questioning LeBron's GOAT status, every controversial topic suddenly comes back into the conversation. People start bringing up finals losses. Others mention the super team debates. Then the Miami move gets discussed again. The bubble championship debate comes up. Some fans point out that Michael Jordan never lost in the finals. while Kobe supporters continue to argue that his mentality and competitive edge were on another level. Before long, the discussion becomes uncomfortable in a hurry, and that's exactly what happened after Garnett's comments started spreading across social media. What started as one opinion quickly turned into a massive clash between different generations of basketball fans. Some people praised KG for saying what they believed others were afraid to say. Meanwhile, LeBron supporters fired back, arguing that his accomplishments, longevity, and all-around impact speak for themselves. And that's what made this whole thing so explosive. It wasn't just about one comment. It became another chapter in the never-ending GOAT debate, where every side believes they're protecting basketball history, and nobody is willing to back down. People weren't just arguing about basketball anymore. The conversation had grown way beyond that. Suddenly, fans were debating legacy, mentality, pressure, and how much media influence actually shapes the way people view players.
Boston. And little by little, I started to recognize everybody's greatness and what they brought to this team. And I was like, man, I ain't never been on no team like this. No. So we look up and Bron goes to Miami. And when Bron goes to Miami, the whole league shift. And yeah, it was over. Michael Jordan gave me some great jewels when I was young. Said, young fella, you're gonna know when you're supposed to lead the game because everything around you.
Things got even more intense after another moment involving Garnett, where he referenced LeBron while discussing performance enhancement rumors across professional sports, and that instantly sent social media into chaos. Now, to be clear, there has never been any proof of LeBron using PEDs. No evidence, no official findings, nothing at all. But the second Garnett's remarks became connected to LeBron's name in any way, the internet lit up again. Fans already know LeBron's longevity is one of the most unbelievable stories in sports. The guy is still competing at an elite level more than 20 years into his career, while players much younger often deal with injuries and physical setbacks every season. So whenever questions or speculation around that kind of durability get mentioned, headlines start flying everywhere. And that's exactly why discussions involving LeBron almost always become so heated online. Nobody seems willing to stay in the middle anymore. Either LeBron is viewed as the greatest athlete to ever pick up a basketball, or some critics label him as the most overrated superstar ever. There doesn't seem to be much middle ground left. Garnett's comments only made an already wild debate even louder. Some fans praised him for saying things they believed others were too afraid to say publicly. Others immediately accused him of being bitter because LeBron's accomplishments are now discussed above many stars from Garnett's own era. The divide happened fast, and it was huge. But when you really listen to KG, it sounds like his frustrations go beyond just LeBron. It feels like he's talking about modern NBA culture as a whole. The endless rankings, the non-stop comparisons, and the obsession with naming one player the GOAT every single day instead of appreciating greatness in different forms. Back during Garnett's playing days, respect was earned differently. Physicality mattered, rivalries mattered, intensity mattered. Players had to deal with pressure without social media defending them around the clock. There wasn't a protective bubble surrounding every superstar 24 hours a day. And this is where younger fans and older legends often see the game differently. Many younger viewers focus heavily on numbers and highlight clips, but players from Garnett's generation often value something else entirely. They talk about presence, fear, dominance, and the emotional impact certain players had on opponents and entire arenas. That's one reason Michael Jordan still holds such a special place among many former players from that generation. Jordan wasn't just beating teams on the scoreboard. Opponents often talked about the pressure he created before the opening tip even happened. Kobe Bryant brought that same intimidating mentality. Garnett himself played with that same non-stop intensity every night. So when LeBron gets placed at the top mainly because of his incredible numbers and unmatched longevity, some former players quietly push back because they define greatness through a completely different lens. And that's probably why this argument isn't going away anytime soon. Different generations simply measure greatness in different ways, and those views aren't always easy to reconcile. Younger fans grew up watching LeBron dominate the sport for 2 straight decades. To them, watching someone perform at an elite level close to age 40 feels almost unbelievable. They look at the all-time scoring record, the finals appearances, the versatility, and they believe the discussion should already be over. Meanwhile, many older players place more emphasis on killer instinct, undefeated finals records, and cultural influence in ways that statistics alone can never fully explain. That's where the clash really begins. LeBron supporters quickly fired back with every argument imaginable. They pointed to his career averages, playoff accomplishments, leadership, versatility, and unmatched longevity. They argued that Garnett never carried teams the way LeBron helped transform entire organizations over multiple decades. To them, comparing the two wasn't even close. They viewed LeBron's body of work as something basketball may never see again, and because of that, they believed KG's criticism completely missed the bigger picture. But critics weren't backing down either. They argued that greatness isn't only about piling up numbers. They claimed mentality, fear factor, and the ability to dominate under pressure matter just as much. That's where the battle lines were drawn. And once again, the basketball world found itself locked in another explosive chapter of the never-ending GOAT debate. Fans quickly brought up championships, MVP awards, and the incredible consistency LeBron has maintained across more than 2 decades of elite basketball. And honestly, those arguments carry a lot of weight, because no matter which side of the debate you're on, LeBron's accomplishments are absolutely unbelievable by any reasonable standard. Even many of his toughest critics usually admit that, even if they do it reluctantly. That's why this whole situation became so fascinating. Because Kevin Garnett probably knew exactly what kind of reaction was coming before he ever spoke publicly. He knew LeBron supporters would accuse him of being bitter or jealous. He knew television shows and podcasts would spend days breaking down every word he said. He knew social media would explode all over again. And yet he said it anyway without showing any hesitation. That says a lot about KG's personality, because plenty of former players choose their words very carefully whenever LeBron's name comes up. They often soften their criticism to avoid the massive backlash that follows online. Garnett didn't take that route at all. Instead, he came with the same intensity, passion, and unapologetic attitude that made him one of the fiercest competitors of his generation. The same energy fans watched for years on the court showed up once again, and people noticed immediately. But more than anything, Garnett's comments created one huge question that basketball fans can't simply ignore anymore. Are people becoming too quick to shut down every criticism involving LeBron? Because whether you believe he's the GOAT or not, debates in sports have always included praise and criticism together. Michael Jordan gets criticized, Kobe Bryant gets criticized, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, Stephen Curry, and practically every all-time great has faced tough questions at some point. That's just part of sports culture. But with LeBron, emotions can sometimes become so intense that even reasonable discussions are viewed by some fans as completely unacceptable. And that's where things become complicated. Maybe that was Garnett's message all along. Maybe he wasn't trying to personally attack LeBron. Maybe he was challenging the culture surrounding LeBron's legacy and the way certain conversations immediately turn into all-out battles online. Because Garnett comes from an era where players believed respect had to be earned over and over again through performance. There wasn't an endless shield of social media supporters ready to defend every criticism within seconds. Players had to deal with the noise and answer it on the court. And that's where the real question begins, the one nobody seems able to answer in a way that satisfies everyone. What matters more in basketball history, total dominance during your absolute peak or unmatched greatness sustained over 2 full decades? Is the greatest player ever the one who looked unbeatable at the height of his powers? Or is it the player who kept evolving, adapting, and staying at the top longer than anyone else the sport has ever seen? That's the question Kevin Garnett threw right back into the center of the conversation, and it instantly reignited one of the most passionate arguments in sports. Because no matter how many times people think the GOAT debate is finally settled, it always comes roaring back stronger than ever. And after KG's comments started making the rounds, basketball fans everywhere were once again locked into one of the most heated discussions the game has ever seen. And just when people thought the storm was starting to calm down, another layer of the conversation started getting attention online. A lot of fans began asking a completely different question. Why do comments from certain former players spark so much controversy when they involve LeBron, while criticism aimed at other legends barely makes headlines? That question alone opened up another massive debate. Some fans argued that LeBron's fame has reached a level where every opinion about him automatically becomes front-page news. Every compliment becomes a celebration, and every criticism turns into a full-blown battle between fan bases. That's how powerful and polarizing his name has become. Others pointed out that this isn't even new. Throughout his entire career, LeBron has faced an unusual amount of pressure and scrutiny. From being called the chosen one as a teenager to carrying championship expectations for 2 decades, his journey has always unfolded under a spotlight few athletes have ever experienced. And that's what makes these discussions so complicated, because depending on who you ask, LeBron is either the most heavily criticized superstar of his era or the most protected player in basketball history. Those two views couldn't be more different, yet both sides passionately believe they're right. Meanwhile, some former players quietly sided with Garnett's overall message, not necessarily because they agreed with every single point, but because they understood where he was coming from. Many veterans have repeatedly talked about how the game has changed, how social media has changed fan behavior, and how debates today often become more emotional than analytical. For older generations, respect wasn't handed out easily. It came through rivalries, battles, and years of proving yourself against elite competition. That's why so many retired stars value toughness, intensity, and mentality just as much as numbers on a stat sheet. But younger fans see things through a completely different lens. They grew up in an era where advanced statistics, efficiency, and versatility became major parts of evaluating greatness. To them, LeBron's ability to dominate different eras, different teams, and different styles of basketball is almost impossible to match. That's why these conversations often feel like two different worlds colliding. One side values peak dominance and killer instinct. The other values longevity, adaptability, and sustained excellence. Neither side is willing to give an inch, and that's exactly why the arguments never seem to end. What makes this even more fascinating is that players themselves don't always agree either. Ask 10 NBA legends who the GOAT is, and you'll probably get several different answers. Some choose Jordan, some choose LeBron. Others mention Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, or even Magic Johnson. There has never been one universal answer, and maybe there never will be. That's why Garnett's comments struck such a nerve. They didn't just challenge LeBron, they challenged the way modern basketball fans discuss greatness itself. And in a strange way, that's exactly what keeps the GOAT debate alive year after year. Because as new records are broken and new generations of fans enter the conversation, the standards keep changing, which means one thing is almost guaranteed. Long after Kevin Garnett's comments fade from the headlines, the arguments they reignited will still be raging across television, podcasts, and social media, with basketball fans defending their favorites louder than ever. And maybe that's the biggest reason this debate never truly disappears. No matter how many championships are won, how many records get broken, or how many legendary careers come and go, basketball fans always come back to the same question: who really deserves the GOAT crown? Kevin Garnett's comments didn't create this argument, but they definitely brought it roaring back into the spotlight. And that's because greatness means different things to different people. Some fans value perfect peaks and killer mentality. Others value longevity, versatility, and the ability to dominate across multiple generations. That's what makes these conversations so intense and so fascinating. At the end of the day, one thing nobody can honestly deny is that LeBron James has built one of the most remarkable careers sports has ever seen. And Kevin Garnett's willingness to speak his mind, whether people agree with him or not, only added another chapter to one of basketball's most passionate discussions. Because that's the beauty of sports. Legends will always be compared. Fans will always defend their favorites, and every generation will have its own definition of greatness. That's never going to change. Maybe years from now, another superstar will come along and shake up the conversation all over again. Maybe the standards for greatness will evolve once more. But for now, the battle over LeBron's place in history remains one of the hottest topics in the entire sports world. And after KG's comments, that fire got even bigger. Now we want to hear from you. Did Kevin Garnett have a point? Or do you think LeBron's accomplishments have already settled the GOAT debate once and for all? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let everybody know where you stand. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future basketball stories and controversies coming your way. Also, share this video with your friends and fellow NBA fans because you already know this debate is guaranteed to get people talking. The more opinions, the better, and we're curious to see which side comes out swinging in the comment. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.